Now, these guys are a network. These are a little motorbike mafia, and they're not little. They're huge, actually. So I go and put this lump in the back of my backpack, and I have this little pepper spray in front of my backpack. So I get another motorbike taxi. And
wait, hold on. So you got a chunk of cash you've just shoved in the backpack, and your only protection at this point is a bottle of pepper spray.
Hey, got something really cool I wanted to run by and let you know what's going on. So I'm starting a group that will start taking a deep dive into each one of these episodes. So we'll collectively come together and talk about the shows, talk about the guests. I'll be bringing back some of the guests to do some Q&A sessions and really take a further dive into their story, their journey, the episode, talk about, maybe some of the things you wish I would have asked on the episodes, do some Q&A sessions and the like. As a friend put it to me, it's really like a book club, but for the podcast. So a couple times a week, we'll go in, we'll break down the favorite shows of the week, and have cool discussions around everything that we've heard, we've learned, and want to know about their journey. Some of these guests will come in and they'll teach part of, what makes them awesome at what they do. And then, as always, I'll be providing regular value and content in this group. It's really cool because this only is going to cost $5 a month to join this group. And you'll be able to come in, interact with everybody else in there. So I'll put a link right in the show notes for this that you can jump in, come have a conversation with us, and we will really deep dive into each one of these episodes and help us all rise up together. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's going to be a great show today. Having the show wasn't something I started out to do. But the day I found out somebody wanted to really sponsor the show was a really, really cool experience. So, guys, I want you to take some time to go check out Point Blank Safety Services and their new nonprofit, Blue Family Fund. These guys are doing some really, really cool things. And Stacy McGovern, who's the CEO over there, has been a dear friend, and she was a guest on the show. But these guys are literally taking, the off-duty officers and putting them out in security guard role. And here's what's cool about it is, as they're protecting our lives, they don't make a whole lot of money in that regard. No first responders are paid for the value they provide for our safety and our health and taking care of us. So these guys, Stacy and her team over at Point Blank Safety Services have really found a cool way to give back to these officers by helping them provide an additional income so they can continue to support and protect us. So do me a favor, guys. Seriously, go check out pointblanksafety.com and then go look at their nonprofit, which is Blue Family Fund. Now, this nonprofit was created because of the success of Point Blank Safety Services. They wanted to give back to the families of fallen officers and be able to give scholarships away to the families of current, police officers. So do me a favor. It would mean the world to me if you would go out and help support this show by supporting Point Blank Safety Services and their nonprofit Blue Family Fund. Just tell them Donnie has sent you. You heard it on Donnie Success Champions, and Stacy will take a tremendous and amazing care of you. Thanks, guys.
So, guys, today's going to be a fun one. We're going all the way across the ocean to bring a buddy of mine, Greg Boudah, in. Good dude, great story. I hope you enjoy this round. Greg, welcome to the show, brother. Tell us your story.
Thanks a ton, Donnie. My story, geez, that starts where? How far do you want me to go back?
Well, not birth, but, slightly thereafter.
Well, I'm a Navy brat to a pretty terrible stepfather and treated basically like a redheaded stepchild, which I, in fact, am. And from there, I kind of got a chip on my shoulder. And I dealt with that chip for many, many years. And it was a friend. I was a foe for a long time, but that chip became a friend. It was kind of a major driver in a lot of the things that I've accomplished that people said I couldn't accomplish. But that chip was quite important to me, and in some ways it still is.
So was it, and I don't want to get too into the weeds on this, but was it just verbal abuse? Was it physical? I mean, were you getting, or was it just an asshole?
He's just an asshole, verbal abuse. My mom kind of drank his tea, therefore she didn't support. My biological dad died when I was a baby. So and she married, then she found this officer in the Navy, and boom, everything changed. And I was enamored until, the veneer came off and everything was real. And, the chip formed.
Right.
And
this guy was a jerk growing up, but he was a Navy officer. And then you went to the Navy?
No, unlike every other male and many females in my stepfather's family, they're all Navy. And I, having a firmly placed chip, I went into the Marine Corps. And I will tell you that decision not only pissed everybody off, but it paid dividends in the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm proud that I made that decision.
Well, and I know somebody listening to this is going to go, well, the Navy's a department of the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy, and I always remind them it's the men's department, so it's okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's awesome. So what'd you do in the Marine Corps?
Well, I went in guaranteed contract as a junior. I got my junior, senior year in high school. I guess went to guaranteed infantry. I figured if I was going to do it, I'm going to do it in the infantry way. And I became a light armored reconnaissance, LAR, and then my first duty station was 29 Palms, California.
29.
And yeah, it was a good time. Very, very because back then you had to go to boot camp and then combat school, then SOI, then you broke off in your MOSs. And so it was like, okay, that was like, I'm a great hiker, great runner, humper, and no problem. But I was like, fuck, man, this is getting old. Like,
right.
Okay. And I'm like, oh, I came in guaranteed contract for this. Brilliant. And then after MCT, they started doling out MOSs. And then they said like 5 or 6 or 10 of us from my class, from my platoon, and they said, Boudah, you're 0313. And it was pretty new at the time. The LAR was LAR at the time. Was sort of a new gig and for the infantry in the Marines. And I was like, what was that? I'm not kidding you, Donnie. Like on cue, two LAVs drove down the road in San Diego. and my platoon sergeant.
It's like a movie being staged.
He's like, you guys are going to do that. And I was like, oh, sweet Jesus. That's so cool. And it was a great thing. It was a great thing. And shortly thereafter, we were in 29 Palms. And that was another great thing. Most Marines don't love 29 Palms. I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed the training. I enjoyed the isolation of it all. We were busy.
That's crazy
because
outside of like Camp Lejeune, which I think is the biggest shithole in all of the military, a horrible base, 29 Stumps might take the cake. I've never been, but man, the stories I've heard about that place, it's an absolute shithole. I'm glad I know one person that actually liked 29 Stumps. That's awesome. So how many years were you in?
I was in just over 10. I separated as a staff sergeant out of in 2003 after my first and only deployment through Iraq and OAF-1.
Nice. So you get out as a staff sergeant, ready to set the world on fire and make something of yourself. What happened from there?
So there was no break in service. I would say that I was in active duty until like 99. Then I went reserve. And my state reserve, and while I was doing reserve, it's kind of where the jewelry thing came up. As I was going to college, working at a jewelry company, and quickly kind of growing in their ranks.
I gotta ask that. How does a LAR guy, Marine, end up in jewelry?
Good question, man. Good, damn fine question. You're an astute interview. I went from the infantry to Marine Security Guard Battalion. So I did the MSG thing for three and a half years. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to separate out of there and go to college. So I had all these suits, like in the Marine Security Guard program, like in the school, they give you a budget and you go shopping in DC. So like we have all these 3 or 4 suits that we'd wear with, matching ties and freaking belts that match your shoes is sort of a big thing that they made sure you did right. And so I left the active duty side and I'm like, I need a job, and started wearing, I'm like, I got these suits and there's a jewelry store. So I just kind of like walked in and got the job. It was like that simple. And
this
I
is
just
before
needed a job.
you had this gnarly beard and everything else. You were actually still clean cut.
I was still, there, I was, just, very much, I was high and tight. Remember the lifer stripes, Donnie? Like when you iron that crease on your back shoulders?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
I was totally that guy. I was like, told my platoon, I was like, I'm in lifer forever. And they're like, yeah, you're that guy. I'm like, I am that guy. Like, I wasn't like ace and BST test or anything like that, but like, I was that guy. And then I went to the Marine Security Guard Battalion. And I was like, oh, there's another world. This is like so much. I mean, I grew up in a military family, and it was everything military. And then I kind of went to this Marine Security Guard thing away from 29 Palms, which is its own bubble.
Yeah.
And then I went out there to Tanzania and then Switzerland and Ireland. And I was like, oh, there's a lot more out here in the world that I was just simply not exposed to it ever. And I was like, and these guys in the State Department, I was like, oh, they're not like rocket scientists or anything. And I'm like, oh, I could probably do that. And so I got out to go to college, and my intention was to get back in, but they weren't really keen on 27 or so, 27-year-old lieutenants. At that time, that was pre 9/11, barely pre 9/11. And anyway, I stayed reserve. I became a forward observer in an artillery battery, and that battery got spun up into OAF-1. And so, okay, so it's Alpha Battery 114 out of Colorado, a great little unit. So we train and we're doing artillery, or like me and my team are out there on observation posts, having a great time. And then goddamn Donald Rumsfeld spun us up. We think we're going to go, drop bombs all over freaking place in Baghdad and whatnot. Our whole battery got converted. I'll give you $20 if you tell me what our battery got converted into, Donnie.
Tell me you were cooks and bakers.
Mortuary affairs.
What?
No kidding. Yep.
Wow.
So these two douchebags from Washington, D.C. show up in our little, basketball court at the base that we were on. They show up and like, guess what? We're like, you're going to be mortuary affairs. Like all of us look at each other. You got cannon cockers, truck drivers, port observers. Like, we're like, what is going on?
What is mortuary affairs?
Literally like a one-day training on how to deal with Marines and dead reporters and dead people.
God.
Okay, a Marine gets himself killed or her killed out there somewhere, and we effectively go the supply chain that we're not really aware of until you're suddenly aware of. A gunny says a Marine was killed in his unit. He makes a phone call. That guy makes a phone call, and then boom, these mortuary affairs guys who are in the AO somewhere, they get the word to go get him or her. They can go get the dead Marine. Physically get them. So it was a heck of a situation. Like, we weren't expecting it.
I mean, you follow orders,
just do the Marine thing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
You follow orders, but shit, that had to be a mind fuck going through that.
I'll tell you, it was, we did the Camp Pendleton workup thing, and then we took off to Kuwait, hung out there for a bit. And then we, got our plane, we flew into Al Diwania. And the night before, I was the senior staff NCO. And as a staff sergeant, as a staff select at the time. Anyway, I got my squad, and the night before in Kuwait, I'm doing the intel briefs, looking at satellite images, and we're in the middle. There's a Hajj going on, so we're going to land in a town called Al Kut, and then drive with our trucks. We're going to land and drive in our trucks to Al Diwania. So we got all this intel, pictures of Hajj, and we're all hyped up. Like, guys wearing their burqas, walking around their man dresses, we called them at the time. And so we were all hopped up that, they're going to, be shooting at us 24/7. So we pack our stuff, we get in a plane. The C-130 does its interesting flying around in a war zone. And so we land in Al Kut, and I'm not kidding you, Donnie. We were off the ground 2 seconds. An officer comes up to me, says, "Hey, Sergeant Boudah, we got 3 Marines who just got killed." And I don't know what is north, south, east, or west. And I'm like, aye, sir, you just keep rolling with it.
Right.
And so for the next several hours, we were processing our first dead Marines who just got themselves killed as we were coming in, actually.
Yeah.
And that was a heck of an eye opener. And we went through the night. I'll be perfect. I'm going to be dead transparent on this and say, we've got clean hands who are literally men who are just documenting on 2 men on one side of the remains. Dirty hands who are the men who actually physically touch and roll. And you remove the 9mm rifle pistol. You remove the weapons. You remove the grenades. You remove the flak and the stuff that should not go down the human supply chain. And it's surreal. So these guys are documenting, this is an entry wound, this is this, that, all the damage that happened to these Marines who got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
And one Marine after the next. So we did that, and then so I remember, I could put my Marines to bed, boom, hit the sack, we're going to get up in a couple of hours. And I'm having like the hardest time winding down. I'm at 100,000 miles an hour, and I'm trying to do the leadership. I'm not showing a lot of weakness, but I felt really tough on the inside, really rough, torn up. I remember laying down in my on my bag, I guess, in the dirt. And I got up and I puked in the ditch a few times, and that made me feel better. I just had to get that out of me, I guess. And then I woke my guys up, and then the Marine Corps kicks in, and we got to get our trucks, and of course the freaking fennel mount doesn't work, and 50 cals missing this thing, and the normal Marine Corps stuff. Right. I'm like, oh God damn it, we're gonna drive through this. We still got this whole Hodge to drive through. Right, like 5-hour road march, and we're in our first morning in country, and everything's obviously.
So, holy shit, dude, what a ride. I mean, at no point did I guarantee that you expect that was going to happen on your journey through the Marine Corps. Jeez, like you, I went on guaranteed contract, but I went motor T, infantry, so I knew where I was going, and, stayed motor T the entire time. I couldn't imagine them shifting orders that hardcore on me and how I would have, I know how I would have responded, but I know what would have been going through my head at the same time. Jesus. So kudos to you, brother. That's a hell of a spot to be in. So, you got your business suit. You walk into a jewelry store and they say, bam, you're a sales guy?
Basically, I interviewed the job and they offered me the job a few days later. There's a bit of a side story. My wife's Irish.
So let me get this all straight. Hold on. So you're a U.S. Marine, she's Irish, and you're living where? I just moved from Dublin to Phoenix, or Scottsdale to be more precise. Wait, last time you and I talked, you were living in Bangkok or something.
I live in Bangkok now. I lived here since 2006, but we were going back in time, right?
Right.
So when I left the Marine Security Guard program, I left to go to college and, utilize this awesome wardrobe closet of mine. And I moved to Phoenix, and my girlfriend at the time, she moves with me. She's going to get this summer job. We were kind of lying to the company that hired me, but because she went in for the interview and they offered her, she went for the interview. I went for the interview. They called us and said, we can only hire one of you, because they wanted to hire both of us because the company wouldn't allow relationships to be hired. Well, my wife and I knew we were scamming them a little bit because, she was only going to be there for 3 months while she was on her summer visa for the summer. So I said, well, I'll just take the job, and she went and got another job.
That's awesome.
It worked out. That's how we got into jewelry.
That's awesome. Now you are in the jewelry business, starting off as a sales guy. How did you go from that to running your own jewelry exchange or whatever it is you do?
Okay, the way that works is I just rose into that particular company, and I stayed with them for several years and and grew it out and really got maxed out. And I said, okay, I want to do another challenge, and I got into production. I left that company and got hired by a company I'm in Denver at this point, and I got hired by a company in Denver. I just took a leap, and I didn't know anything about production, nothing at all, but typical military type mindset. And I said, well, I'll learn on the go. And I think there's a lot of people who are afraid to take that step. And I said, okay, I'll kind of blag my way into it a little bit. And I know how rings are sized and diamonds are set. I know the basics, but production, no, I don't know much about it. But a production company hired me as the production manager. And my role was to manage these 50 jewelers in Denver. And through that, my travels began. We're all also manufacturing in Thailand. We were manufacturing in Costa Rica. So as we grew into that, I learned a whole hell of a lot of production. And then the diamond company, who I bought diamonds from on behalf of the company, they said, well, Greg, we want you to come move to Belgium and work for us in Belgium and start a jewelry manufacturing service. I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'll try that. So we moved to Belgium. I quickly found out that Belgians don't have a big, at least in my world at space and time, they were not big fans of Americans. And then I was in a meeting with the owner of the company. Everybody kept on asking, are you a big fan of Bush? It was very political. And I'm the only American they ever hired. And I'm there, trying to start this diamond thing, this jewelry company for them in Thailand, which my objective was to start a company for them in Thailand. But they wanted me in Antwerp to kind of figure it out. Or figure them out, not figure it out. They wanted me to get down to the company culture. So the owner of the company asked me to his office one day, and he says, tell me about your life. So a little personal background. I said, no, I joined the Marines and I had a good time. And he looked at me dead serious. He goes, why'd you join the Marines? I said, well, do my service, military family. And he goes, so was your family like poor? Were you had no options? I was like, what? That dude just asked me that fucking question. Right. I'm like, first of all, Belgium, we saved their asses countless times. Like, he should be thanking me, period. Just thank you. Here's a job. I mean, that's what he should have been doing. But, he asked me that question. At that point, I saw his true colors. And a week later, I said, I can't do what you want me to do from Belgium. I need to do it. I need to be in Thailand more often. So I said, we got to move to Thailand next week. So they sent me to Thailand, and I started a company for them in Thailand and started running that. And that function was to kind of do a lot of manufacturing and export it and sell it in the United States and Western Europe and in South Asia.
Wow. So how many countries have you been to so far at this point? Have you ever counted it up?
I haven't. We're around. I mean, because my wife's Irish, we're in Ireland and Western Europe all the time and all over Asia. Like we vacation in Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam. And I just had a great trip with a friend of mine. He came out, a Marine buddy of mine, who went to Iraq with me. We flew to Cambodia and took a train up to Hue City in Vietnam. And we did where the Marines battled in Quezon. And so we hung out at Quezon Air Base, and there's a really cool little museum up there. And watched, where the Marine Corps had really got it on during the war in Vietnam, which the Vietnamese is called the American War. We call it the Vietnamese War. But we did a lot of tours, and it was just him and I kind of doing our Marine Corps thing and seeing the Marine Corps history is really great. So I travel quite a bit with my business, of course.
Nice. So that's awesome. So you go to Belgium, you doing some of the jewelry exchange, trading, everything else, then get moved to Thailand. So now you're in Thailand. What is it you're actually doing with the jewelry? I know you're importing, exporting, but are you physically going in and like picking out the diamonds, the gold, all that kind of stuff? Are you, go ahead.
Yeah, great question. So we were working for other people. I was working for other people for a long time, and we saved and saved and saved. So we said, you know what, we want to do this ourselves. So we piled up a bunch of money. And then we said, and then we cut out and went on our own, and we started a company. We built a website, and we started reaching out for customers all over the world. What they do is when you're looking at the best way to explain it is this: when you watch you walk into a jewelry store, or you watch in our case, you're watching the Oscars or the Golden Globes, and you see the women, and they say, oh, who made those earrings? And they say, oh, Winston, or Gucci, or some brand name. They throw it out there, right? Well, those brand names look for people like me, and they make their jewelry through me. So I work with the Winstons, and I work with those types of brands, and those people coordinate with me, and they like me and my wife. They trust us because of our Western mindset that, we have to look ourselves in the mirror in the morning, and we're accountable. The fairness, the military background certainly helps with a little bit of integrity kind of cooked into the conversation off the bat. So we make their jewelry for many, many years. That's what we've been doing with our factory. And when I say make it, we're talking to the buyer on the phone or the designer on the phone or Skype or Zoom or whatever, and we're drawing. And then from drawing, we'll take that sketch and we'll put it in a 3D CAD. And from 3D CAD, we'll send the customer a picture of it. And then from there, they approve it or we edit it or we change. Then we make it and we 3D print it. We print it right up. And then I will take that and mold it and cast it into gold and platinum. And then I'm a diamond buyer, so I get diamonds, and I'll buy the diamonds, and my wife will buy the color stones because she's our gemologist. And we'll create that design from scratch right off the bat. And then we send that one item to the customer. Let's say they're in New York. And our relationship with them, what we say is, here's your one. We sell it to them, of course. And then we say, you need to make that multiple times. So here's your one. Next time you order, you have to order 5, 10, or 15, or depends on what it is. So that's how we make our revenue, is by making a sample, having them approve it, and then ordering and repeat. And then their function is to sell it all around the world in the country.
Dude, that is so cool. So you're literally having to pick out the diamonds and all that stuff. I mean, being a diamond buyer, that's interesting to me. How can you – are you looking at already the cut diamonds, or are you looking at diamonds that are raw and then having them cut?
My career's had evolution of that. When I was with the diamond company in Belgium, it was rough diamonds, and it started with, Russian rough diamonds, South African rough diamond, Indian diamond, Australian diamond, so all over the place. And now at this point, because I'm making finished jewelry, I buy 10, 20, 30, or 100 carats worth of finished diamonds, cut diamonds, and I make sure they're within our quality band so that they are absolutely stunning. and they're not low quality. And like when they're in our jewelry that they just pop and we physically match them one at a time. There could be 500 of them, but we match them for color and sparkle and clarity. And then we put them into the particular piece of jewelry that we also designed. I went to the Gemological Institute of America for a diamond certification.
Really?
And diamond grading. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. I mean, I figured, diamonds is like a journeyman type project where, kids grew up, round diamonds, take over from their dad.
No, you can use your GI Bill to get a certification because it's a trade. It's a skill. And you know what? It's a skill that I had no background in whatsoever. My family was in jewelry, nobody. I just got into it as the way I explained earlier. But, in my business, there's design, there's engineering, there's technology like crazy. We use hammers to hammer on gold. We use microscopes to carefully set every single diamond. We use 40 power microscopes. So it's really got a lot of design. There's heavy negotiation. I mean, I've got Indian fella after Belgian fella coming into my office, and it's just like poker, man. Like these dudes are all over you. Like, my office is full of Marine Corps shit. Hopefully it throws them off a little bit. Like, don't fuck with me. It's part of the thing. But the industry is unexpected. I mean, you can use your GI Bill because it will cost me, it's like $30,000 just for the certification. I mean, you got to pony up for that. I mean, it's a legit deal. It's a legit deal.
Right. That's freaking cool. A lot of times as customers, we always get to see the finished product. We don't always get the insight to the process of it all goes through. As you've been creating all this and doing all this, what's some of those screw-ups you've had along the way that, you're like, well, shit, that was dumb, but it taught you one hell of a lesson on the back end. Do you have any of those type of stories?
Okay, on the business side, so I told you in the beginning we saved a bunch of money. Because I'm in a foreign country, I can't use banking. A bank won't give me a line of credit because I'm not allowed to own a house because I'm a foreigner. So they, property, which I mean by I don't own property here that the bank can lean on. So we saved a big nut of cash, and it was $65,000 to be exact. With that $65,000, we started the business. So when you start a business, you need to manage your cash carefully. And I was not really aware of that. I mean, I never started a business. So I know I like tech. So when we started the business, we got 4 employees, and so that kind of happened. And then what I did with the $65,000 is I went and bought 2 pieces of equipment. I bought a CNC machine for about $15,000, and I bought a welder for another $20,000 or something like that. So right off the bat, $35,000.
You did 50% almost of your cash flow.
Dude, I did not use that equipment ever. I've been in business for 7 years now. I'm literally telling you, in my first 3 years, didn't use it at all. Several years later, I probably got 12, 13 hours on them total. Huge waste of money. You can't sell them. They're just dead paperweights. Unless if someone listens to your podcast, wants a brand new CNC machine, I'll give you a good deal.
But a really good deal on them.
God damn. So that was a big lesson. The takeaway is protect your cash. Outsource that piece of that service. If you're in a motorcycle manufacturing, don't buy powder coating technology. Sub that out until you can afford the powder coating technology. I learned a big lesson that way. It didn't kill us. It damn near did, though. It almost broke us financially. I had a friend, thank goodness, who I was getting orders. And again, I don't have a bank, so I've got to have the cash in the bank. I wake up tomorrow morning with orders, and those orders are gold. So I've got to go buy gold. I have my gold guy. Back then, I would have to go get gold. So this is another stupid thing I used to do, is I wake up, checking my email, like, oh, hey, the customer in New York ordered a whole bunch of stuff. And I look at the bank account. I got this much money. I got to go buy so much gold. So I would go to the bank on the back of a motorcycle taxi, put my little JanSport back on, driving through the Bangkok with my JanSport on, drive to the bank. It's the motorbike taxi guy. He knows I'm going to the bank. I'm a redheaded white boy with a beard. He knows I'm going to get money. Go to the bank, take out 1 million baht. 1 million baht is the size of a loaf of bread. That's $35,000 or so, right, at the time. Go into the bank, and I tell the motorbike, go away. Now, these guys are a network. These are a little motorbike mafia, and they're not little. They're huge, actually. So I go and put this lump in the back of my backpack, and I have this little pepper spray in front of my backpack. So I get another motorbike taxi. And
wait, no, hold on. So you got a chunk of cash you've just shoved in the backpack, and your only protection at this point is a bottle of pepper spray.
There's a side story to the pepper spray, but that's why I mentioned that. So I get another motorbike, I'm kind of making sure that nobody's watching me. I get this other motorbike. I tell them, take me to this company. where I got to go buy gold. And they all know where the gold shop is. Like, it's a gold. I got to go buy a kilo bar of gold. So I'm on the back of this motorbike buzzing around the back. I mean, the thing will wipe out all over. Forget about it. Because the whole company's out of money now, and then I'm probably laid up. So I go in there, walk into the gold shop, shoot him away, walk out. Now that I got this big lump, a kilo is the size of a remote control, but it's a kilo. It's heavy. And it's this lump on the bottom of your backpack. I'm like, get another motorbike, drive it to town. And I did that for years. I cannot believe I didn't get robbed or shot or stabbed. But I had my amazing pepper spray and a ferocious, angry look on my face, which I will tell you got us through Iraq, I think, or I'll get shot at. As I always told my guys, just look fucking furious. If you look lazy and tired, you might get shot at. So buzzing through Bangkok, go to and they drop me off where? At my jewelry factory in the middle of the city. So the pepper spray, years later, I'm driving around with this thing sticking out of my backpack for years. And I read in the newspaper something about the hookers in town want the government to allow them to wear this or buy these or the government to sponsor these little pepper spray lipsticky looking things. And that was the article. Like, hookers want pepper spray. Let's say that's or probably lady boys want pepper spray for defense. So I'm like, okay, of course, I'm going to read that article. It says lady boys want pepper spray. It sounds like a damn eye-catching situation. So I start reading it, and you know what? The government said no, because pepper spray in this country is a weapon of war. 25 years in prison, you get caught with that shit.
Oh, shit.
I'm driving around.
So now only are you jewelry like a drug deal. Now you're trying to create war by carrying pepper spray around everywhere you go.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, I jettisoned that. I read that article. I'm like, oh, that's gone. Now we're much more established. And now, I do an online bank transfer and they come and deliver it to me. So that's a lot more comfortable these days.
Wow. So no more, Jan packs with cash and gold and everything else in it. Holy cow. What a crazy damn story. But, there's a couple of really...
Jan Sport Express.
Right? We're going to make Jansport famous from that one. But the crazy thing about all this, some great lessons, that I really appreciate is one is manage your cash flow, because not a lot of people understand how much cash you got to have at the ready a lot of times to be able to function in your business. And if you're out of cash, most times you're out of business because you can't afford to pay for anything. So huge lesson learned. The second thing is sometimes you just got to get it done. And I think that's the case of what you were doing with all your stuff, is literally doing what you could do to survive, since you'd spent all your damn cash on stupid boat anchors. But that's the crazy things about lessons that people always need to understand is you're going to get punched in the face no matter what you're doing in life. And it's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you take a hit and keep moving forward, to put it in the words of Rocky. It's about pushing through that stuff and getting out on the other side. So what is your company doing now? What's the next iteration? Where is this whole thing taking you?
Great question. So the jewelry factory is still very busy doing B2B work, that, making jewelry for the big brands all over the world. And that will continue its operations and continue to grow. This year we launched a new company, my wife and I, called the Jewelry Republic. And the Jewelry Republic is a veteran-owned, veteran-operated, mill-spouse-operated, mill-spouse-owned. She's very big part of the business. And what we're doing is we are highlighting to all of our veterans. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of us out there. And you know what? I want to be your resource. I want to be the guy that you can hopefully build a relationship with, or I can build a relationship with our community, and let them know whenever you want to buy jewelry to honor that moment in your life, be it an anniversary, a birthday, a wedding, a gift for your bridesmaids, whatever, come to me first. I know everything about jewelry, and I want you to hopefully feel a little bit of trust. I'm on your side. I was a Lance Corporal once before. I went to Ocean Slime. I got robbed. I didn't physically get robbed. I paid for a ring for this girl, and holy crap, I'm so glad that shit didn't work out. I'll tell you right now. But I paid $980 for a ring that I know today was literally worth $45. Even at that, especially at that time in 1994 or 3 or so. That will never, ever happen to any veteran. I don't care if you're sitting in Kabul today, in Okinawa, if you're in Frankfurt or Texas, I will be your resource. Let the Jewelry Republic be your resource, because I'm not going to screw you over. crucify me by the community because it just simply won't happen. And I'm banking that I can be the single point of contact for our group of people. And I will treat you right. And when you go to the ball, the piece of jewelry will be amazing. Your wife or girlfriend won't have to hide it. I'm going to teach our women that when our men go to the ball, or that we put all our medals and our fancy stuff, we all look great, that, you know what, buy your girlfriend a goddamn pair of earrings. You know, give her a little bit of love the other way. You know, I'm going to get hate mail for that one, but
honey,
give her a little love.
Honey, Elizabeth, don't listen to this episode. Just turn it off.
But, you know, let's do the right thing. But that's really what we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, of course, I'm a veteran and I want to give back to my veterans. So this brand is new. So as it generates revenue, it has very, very little revenue, just a startup at the moment. But it will grow. 100% certain it is. It is actually growing. But we will take, I want to write a check to either the Invictus Games or several animal charities are all veteran, military owned, that we will give back, and we will very clearly and very publicly write big checks.
That's awesome, brother.
To them,
That's
to
awesome.
help them.
Good on you. So really, it doesn't matter the piece of jewelry. Is that correct? I mean, so we're just talking watches, earrings, all that kind of stuff, or?
Not watches. Watch is a whole different industry,
okay.
And you got to fix them.
So you're thinking jewelry, chains, diamonds, you know, along those lines. I'm sure you'll sell to civilians too. I mean, don't get me wrong, but if you're a veteran,
of course, yeah.
Anybody who has cash, I get it, right? But if you're a veteran and you're, you know, looking to do that deed of proposing, going to a cool event, this, that, and the other, Greg Boudah's your guy. That's pretty much what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. Our community and the people who love us, you will never be disappointed by something that we manufacture.
And how cool is it then to have a story that you're buying a piece of jewelry? I mean, like the engagement ring I got my wife, you know, I actually got it from a solid rock, had it cut, put it in a set in her ring. So it was a cool story to say that I went through that kind of process to get a ring. And I think a lot of people walk up to a store and they're like, I want that one. They get it sized and you know, that's process. Mm-hmm. How much cooler would it be for you to be able to tell your wife, hey, I went through this guy, hand-picked out the diamond, got it cut, went through the process, had it designed, set. I mean, it just tells a lot cooler story on the back end for this whole thing. That's awesome, brother. It
makes it really personal, for sure.
Yeah, I remember an old episode of MASH when Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH gets a ring and it had an engraving in it, and she loses the ring, and I forget the engraving on the bottom side when she gets it back. But if you go YouTube that episode, because it's hilarious and whatever they put it in the engraving, it's a great episode. So just be careful with your engravings and misspelling. It's like getting a tattoo put on wrong, you know. Speaking of that, I had a buddy show me his tattoo. Over 50 years old, got a tattoo. It was supposed to be the Texas flag. And they brought the red too far over, so now he's got the Chile flag, Chile, on his arm versus the Texas flag. So I'm going to get put that on my website. That's awesome. So awesome, Greg. Well, dude, how do people get in touch with you? How do they reach out to you? You know, if they want to order a custom piece of jewelry, which is just a cool experience, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find you? All your social stuff.
Thanks a lot for asking. Our business, it's not just custom. We have a whole ton of items that you just look at, buy. Keep it simple, a big part of it. So our website is called thejewelryrepublic.com, JEWELRY republic.com. It's then text the Jewelry Republic for Facebook and Instagram. Follow us. We give a 10% discount for military. All you got to do is go in there and select your military and then send me an email and tell me a little bit about your story. It's not a book. Just say, hi, I was in 2nd LAR and I had chow duty on a med float and I got scabies. I mean, that's pretty much makes sense to me. But a little vetting, I'll know if you're bullshitting and I'll ask you if you're bullshitting.
Right.
But yeah, just go check out the website and there's an email run on there and it'll go straight to Emma. And then if we do some production or you just order online, it's a really amazing site. All of my jewelry ships out of Black Rifle Coffee's Fulfillment Center in Salt Lake City. And it's all there ready to rock and roll for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome, brother. I always like to finish the show with this. If you could leave people a phrase or statement that they could take with them on their journey, something that they can put in their toolkit to take with them on their ride, what would be that thing that you would tell them that, here's this, take this with you and go?
An important thing to me that I would like to share with everybody is Message to Garcia. It's a little book that a lot of us were forced to read in the Marine Corps when we were young. The basic story is telling you if you have to do something, either you're asked or you're told or you've got to do it, don't let barriers get in your way. Don't create excuses. You have to get there. That is your objective. You are alive once. It is your job. Don't expect anybody to help you. It's your family. Just get to the end point of your mission, your goals, your life. Handle it. Don't let things get in the way. Message to Garcia.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then last thing, what's the story behind this epic beard you got going on here?
Here's the thing. Thai women don't like hairy men. That's the thing. Though their men aren't hairy. They're Asian. They're not hairy.
Right. Well, saying that, I had a buddy go to China and he did the same thing, full beard and everything else, and he was like an outcast.
And my wife loves my beard. I love my beard, but I think it may have started because it's like a deterrent. It's like a deterrent. It like cuts through the fray.
That's awesome. Man, Greg, thanks for being on the show, brother. I really, really appreciate it. Keep running and gunning, dude. Get some awesome things going for you.
Thank you very much. I'm really flattered, and I love your show, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast, man. That's great.
You know what, guys? Really, thank you for listening to this episode. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun putting these together. I wanted to make sure before we get out of here that you knew what we were doing with social content. What we found was because of the podcast, we have a unique way of helping you get your social content out on a very easy way. What we're doing is we're interviewing people, and from that interview, we will capture a lot of information that will then be turned into videos, memes, articles, all things you can use for your social content. I know, like for me, one of the biggest struggles I had was, what do I put out there? What do I say on a regular basis? Well, we'll help do all that for you. So if this is at all of interest to you, reach out to us and let us help you grow your social media channel. I can tell you I did this for my business, and my social media is completely taking off. My Instagram, since I started doing this, jumped to over 10,000 followers, and it continues to grow. So if this is at all of interest to you, check the bottom of the show notes for the link that says, Get My Social Content Done right now.